Feel incredible!
It's not a cartoon, it's anime!
Hey, man,
Yes!
somebody come get this dude, man. Somebody
Welcome to
come
another
get this
episode of Animeshun. Squad is back. Clearly, Brennan is out of it.
dude.
He's out here lighting a doobie.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Lighting a doobie because
Our
he's
level of
had a long few
professionalism.
weeks, I believe.
Man.
It's appropriate for today's episode. Today is it's a solemn episode. We'll get to why. But I had to light one up for the fam. Go on, please, as we were.
Oh yeah, man, yeah. This show, man. I would say this might be one of the most emotional roller coaster shows animes that I've watched, that I personally watched. I'm not saying it's the most roller coaster emotional anime out there, but from what I've seen so far, how I think it might end. It might even also take the cake. So for me, anyways.
I mean, what other shows are in there?
I haven't seen a whole bunch of emotional ones. I guess
Vinland Saga
would be in there. You said what?
Vinland Saga.
Vinland Saga is pretty emotional.
Saga did have some emotions, yeah. A lot of screaming in that one.
A lot of
I feel like-
motherfuckers died.
Yeah, I
True.
feel like Vinland Saga, fucking Promised Neverland, and we're the greatest fucking anime podcast in the entire world.
Brandon has failed to get the headphones off today. Shout out to Ice for perfect timing that. And Brennan had no clue. He just took and put his head down, just like I got to eat this one.
He just took it. He just took that.
I was over here packing more in my bowl. And he got me
You
slipping.
didn't have a chance, bro.
Caught me slipping.
All right,
That's
man.
funny. I mean, you had to come down after the show you had last week, man. You can't, you couldn't.
Oh, you just trying to bring Brennan back to earth?
Yeah, man. You couldn't 96, 97 us, bro. You couldn't do us like that.
Back to
You
back. I
couldn't.
mean, we still got a whole podcast left, so we gotta.
We'll see.
If this was the end, I will be more confident, but I don't know. So this is Iron Blood Orphans continuing Brennan's pick, episodes 11 through 15, or I forgot what it will be technically with season 2, but season
It's
2.
Yeah,
36 through 40.
Yeah.
36 through 40 in season 2.
Yep.
Yeah, Rob, you want to lead us off with the recap?
For sure. I'll take you through it.
I can't do this. I don't want to do it.
This is where Brennan's going to take his headphones off.
I don't want to relive. I don't want to relive this.
But as the mobile armor awakens, Orga basically orders a full retreat while Eok and his men just try to engage it. But it slaps them around real good, taking out like one of Eok's suit's arms and just like slaying the rest of his troops with like whiptail and like a ton more of these like mini machines, which we find out are called plumas. His last remaining men sacrifice themselves to hold them off while Eok just like runs away basically to save his family name. On Rustal's ship, they are unable to contact him and just assume something went wrong. So they send Julietta and Vidar to go down and check on him. And Julietta hopes to destroy the armor, basically to give Rustal like the glory and the credit, increase his standing in Galahorn. Back on Mars, Dante and Shino report back to Orga that, they went to go check on where the armor attacked and it's gone, but the Plumas are just like ransacking a nearby airport and like mining facility. And McGillis explains that the Plumas gather supplies for the armor, so basically can make repairs and just keep going indefinitely. And the armor itself can even make more of these Plumas. And it's that system that wiped out a quarter of humanity 300 years ago.
Yo, that's a hella efficient system, ain't it though?
You see me? And Mika was like, wait a minute. I know I ain't the biggest math whiz, but fucking 1 out of 4, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
A lot. That's a few bill. That's a few billion. Still, they are sure that, just like any other machine, if they could separate the armor from the plumas and keep it from refueling and repairing, they can beat it. But they got to come up with a plan first to trap it. So before it reaches, and it's on its way to what they think is, the biggest nearby city, which is Kreese. So they all split up and plan to meet up later to trap the armor. And in the meantime, Tekadon is trying to evacuate Kreese. But when they tell to Kudelia, it's time to take shelter, she refuses, saying that she needs to leave room for the poor people in the city. Instead, she's just going to stay in her office with Astra.
She's a real one.
She made a good decision. did not do the Ted Cruz move. Elsewhere,
Beautiful.
Oh shit.
I'm here for it.
Oh shit.
Elsewhere, Akihiro and Ride watch as the armor is making its way through the canyon. Everything's going according to plan until Eok, way off in the distance, shoots the armor with his sniper rifle at full strength. Unfortunately, Julieta arrives pretty soon after, and as he's bragging about his shot, she's like, "You're an idiot. Like, that's not nearly enough to destroy one of these things. Like, if that was what it was, like, these wouldn't be a big deal." And now, of course, because he shot the thing, it's taken his attention somewhere else, and it veers off course, and goes toward like basically a totally unarmed farming village. Ride gets in the way of the armor to block its beam shot from hitting the village, but even though he takes the brunt of it, the beam just like bends around him and hits the town as well, just destroying all of the people living there.
Oh man, decimated their ass.
Everybody. His armor is still.
I just like to point out, I truly didn't expect that to happen. I was just like, this never happens in shows and anime shows where it's like, I'm gonna defend the town, and then it's like you just get fucking everything just dies. Like, oh shit. Like, go on. Yeah.
Nothing, unfortunately. Yeah. His armor's still up though, and the Plumas pounce on him. But he's saved in the nick of time when Mikazuki arrives, takes the Plumas out. Meanwhile, McGillis and Isarugi are headed to meet up to the meetup spot with their mobile suits when they get an unexpected surprise. Vidar is waiting for them on a cliffside in his own Gundam armor. And they ask for his ID, but Vidar only taunts McGillis about their reunion on Mars where his deception started and bringing up his betrayal of Karta Issue. And with that, McGillis, and I would assume all of us, are pretty confident that we know Vidar's true identity is Galeo, his old partner from season 1. At the farming village, former farming village, Mikazuki gets ready to face off with the armor, but when Barbados gets a look at its natural enemy, the armor, the machine just stops moving and gives Mikazuki feedback that makes his nose start to bleed. Akihiro tries to jump in and get the armor back on course as well, but his Gundam gives him the same feedback and he just passes out. Yeah. Chad, piloting one of the more like run-of-the-mill instead, and is able to get the armor back on its planned route by attacking it with this just rocket-propelled club. He gives that thing a hell of a throw. Hearing the Gundams are down, but the armor's back on course, Orga orders Eugene to basically set up a bunch of explosives that will separate the armor from the Plumas in the canyon. And back with Eok and Julieta, he's still insisting on facing off with the armor again to honor all the lives of his men that had died. She's like, no, just stay. You will be destroyed if you go on your own. But he doesn't listen, charges off in his damaged machine, and she calls out to Vidar, who's like, he leaves McGillis and Isarugi like, I gotta go do some shit, but we're gonna do this later. Leaves them with some more questions than answers. Bad look for Eok. At Tekadon, Zach, of all people, one of the new recruits, helps them figure out what's going on with these Gundams. The fail-safes that they have in place to protect the pilots from overload from the AVS system is causing the machines to shut down and affecting the pilots negatively anyway. But removing those fail-safes could injure them permanently, like how Mikazuki lost, partial, right sight in his right eye and also all use of his right arm. So Orga's like, all right, those guys can't fight. Like, I'm not going to risk that. We're not going to put their lives in jeopardy just for this fight. The rest of Tekadon are about to spring the explosives on the armor, but it transforms and picks up speed, flying over the Plumas, making it impossible to be separated from them. Also, Eok takes another shot from the armor and resigns himself to death, but Julieta whisks him away just before he's overwhelmed. But unfortunately for Tekadon, that was like all the opportunity the armor needed to sneak its way through the trap, and it's still headed toward Kreese, where After and Kudeli are having a conversation about how much they like Mika and each other. Orga decides, it's finally time to launch the new Gundam Floros, which has a special weapon for just such an occasion. Back with McGillis and Isarugi, the two Galahorn guys discuss, hey, we got to step on it to get to this fight because we can't let Tekadon get this kill because then they might, take a step above us. We have to make sure Galahorn gets, the glory and the reputation from all this. And Vidar, back with Julieta, he's going to stay with Eok's damaged suit while she rushes off to go do the same thing for Rustal. Shino and Yamagi have both launched in the Floros Gundam and are getting into firing position while the rest of Tekadon team up with McGillis to take out the Plumas. And Ride is using Shino's old mobile suit, manages to lure the armor ahead of the rest of the Pluma horde. And once they're separated, Flowers transforms into a huge siege cannon and fires these crazy strong rounds through the earth into the canyon, crushing most of these Plumas and finally separating it from the armor. So the only thing left to do at this point is take out the armor itself. And everybody charges in for their own glory, including Julieta, who arrives in timely fashion. They all get wrecked though, and it looks like it's about to be for everybody. But again, Mikazuki arriving just in time, redirects a killer blast, saving them, and we see in a flashback that he tells Orga, "There's no way you are stopping me from joining this fight. You cannot tell me no." After all, they have to, they have to do all they can to reach their goal as fast as possible. And if that involves him pushing his limits, then so be it. Back in the present, we see him turning off all those ABS fail-safes, and his eyes turn red, and the eyes of the Gundam turn red, and he starts crying blood again and charges in to fight against the armor.
I just thought of Goblin Slayer when his eye.
It did when it be having that drag of the eye. Yeah.
I was like,
that's the only dope thing from Goblin Slayer.
Absolutely.
Yo, I love the way he talked to Barbados. He was just like, yo, let's do this. This is your prey. I was like, oh shit, this is primal. But go on.
Take the leash off.
Yeah.
Unbelievably to me, this next episode starts 1 month later.
Right.
I was like, did I miss something?
What the fuck is this?
It's crazy. The Taiwan's boss is asking Orga, explain to me exactly what happened on that day. And Orga recounts the fight Mika had with the armor. Even with the failsafes turned off and Barbados at his max, the Mikazuki fight versus the armor is very close. Everyone marvels at his new speed and his ability to pick the armor apart. He even stops at one point to steal Isurugi's mobile suit sword. He's just like, I'm going to borrow this. And in the end, the two just impale each other, but the armor just barely misses stabbing Mikazuki in his cockpit. And he emerges the winner to the shock of everyone. Back to the present, Orga tells the boss that Galahorn is continuing to search Mars.
I just want to give credit. That fight was dope, but go on.
It was dope.
I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it's one of the better fights.
For sure. Back in the present, though, Orga is telling the boss that Galahorn is continuing to search Mars for other mobile suit or other mobile armor that are buried there, and apologizes for not being able to handle it on their own. And he offers his cup that symbolizes his loyalty to Taiwan to the boss, and tells him hey, you can break this if I ever displease you. And the boss leaves no doubt that he will do just that if he ever steps out of line or betrays Taiwan. And with Jasly still actively plotting against him, problems will likely occur sooner than later, as we find out. McGillis is also dealing with the fallout of the events amongst Galahorn. Eok is trying to make it look like it's his fault, but finds even Rustal is basically not backing him up, is turned against him. And later he confronts him, just saying yo, you betrayed me. And Rustal puts him in his place. You don't have solid proof that, on McGillis, and you just jeopardizes all of our plans and made us look stupid in front of everybody. And if you keep doing this, I will look for help somewhere else, which is enough to kind of shake him. Later, Julieta asks Rustal to let her test pilot one of his fleet's new mobile suits. It's not what he would usually do, he says, but he does give her the blessing. Elsewhere, Naze is meeting up with Orga and tells him he's getting promoted basically to second in command within Taiwan so he can keep a better eye on Tekadon. And he asks Orga, how they're doing after the fight. And we get another flashback to the day of the battle. And Mikazuki wakes up from his fight. And when he does disconnect from the AVS, he can't feel his legs anymore.
Damn.
His whole right side is shut down. He's like a stroke victim.
Yeah, absolutely. His whole right side is shut down. And and so everybody else we see, there's a lot of different, people that are wounded there. But back in the present with Naze, he asks Orga, if he even really wants to be King of Mars. And Orga's like, I'll do whatever I have to, to take care of my family. But Naze is like, your goals seem reckless. It's not even like you care where you're headed at this point. You just want to get there so you can basically kick back and take it easy after that, which, shakes him. Back at Tekadon base, though, Kudelia visits Mikazuki and confesses to Atra afterwards, she hadn't come yet because she was afraid he'd be different. But in a way, it's worse because he's still the same. And Atra agrees and, had hoped that this would make Mikazuki calm down so he'd stop fighting, but it hasn't. And his only connection that he cares about basically is with Barbados. And she worries that one day he'll go out to fight and won't come back at all. And all of a sudden, she just desperately begs Kudelia to have a baby with him.
Oh my gosh.
Yo, bro, babies are clamps on men. That's
this sounded like some just baby mama. I have
seen so many versions of this conversation and play out before in life. That's the thing that that's why it upsets me, because it's not, you want to say this is far-fetched or dumb or whatever. It's no, these conversations happen.
It's real. It's crazy that it transcends amongst different cultures.
Yeah.
Just trap this guy and he's
good. Just trap him.
And he's in stroke victim. He gonna smash like that.
Connected to Barbados, guys. Come on.
I guess
Oh
so.
yeah, oh yeah. Hold on, hook me up. Clear. Oh, I'm back, baby.
Weird
That's
shit.
some Avatar shit.
Yeah. At Gallahorn, McGillis talks about the
Terrible.
event with his assistant. They have no proof of Galeo's survival at Edmonton, but realize it has to be him as Vidar. But they also discuss Mikazuki and how his fighting proved, to McGillis the only true power. Only that true power will be able to reform the world. Meanwhile, Eok is asking his men to get in touch with Jasley to help him, regain his honor and get back at those people that made him look bad. At Tekadon, though, Shino officially, gifts his old suit to Ride, and Hush carries Mikazuki from place to place now that he can't walk.
That's so funny. That's like some
Like, they
Prince
can't
riding
do
his security guards back.
Bro,
type
that
shit.
that reminded me of from that Dave Chappelle sketch with Diddy.
Yeah.
Throw him over his shoulder. Let's get out of here.
They can't, like, all the robot suits. They can't get this guy like a Professor X chair or something like that. Like, he's got to be carried around like a sack of potatoes.
You think they
Like
put him
that.
in a mobile worker or something?
Something.
Right.
Mobile worker.
I feel like they did that for the dramatic effect, though. Like, y'all need to feel this.
Orga alone, thinks about Naze's words and, gets angry with himself that he led Mikazuki to this fate. But Mikazuki says, like, it's not your fault. Actually, for me, life is simpler now. My only way to live the way I could before is by fighting. Living in a peaceful world didn't make sense to me. Now I don't have to do that. It's great. And Orga, again, promises, to lead him to their final destination. Episode 39, Nace's wives that have been with Tekadon are getting ready to return back to the turbines. And it's an emotional goodbye for some, but especially for Laughter, who's clearly grown feelings for Akihiro. But she is still Nace's wife, so they just depart with a handshake. Eok, meanwhile, is talking revenge with Jasley, and Jasley suggests, maybe we don't go against the Tekadon right now. Maybe we go against the turbines. They're their most powerful ally. They're backers for Taiwaz. And Eok sets his plan in motion, but he does so behind Rustal's back. Despite this, Julieta volunteers to go with him, looking for an opportunity to show off the new suit she's been training with. Elsewhere, Rustal and Vidar are kind of talking about the problem that is Eok, that, the issues he's brought up recently. Rustal's like, he's got his strengths, but, he wishes that this could all be avoided and says, like, if you just revealed your identity, took off your mask, this wouldn't be a problem anymore. But he's like, Vidar's like, I basically have to wait for my moment. I feel like I've earned that right. Thank you for saving me, but I need to wait to basically reveal my master plan to McGillis. So McGillis and Isarugi have noticed that Eok is moving towards moving against the turbines, and he's able to guess it's all tied to this banned weaponry, these large cannons called the Dies Leaf that Floros was using against the mobile armor. And he realizes Eok is using this political loophole to pursue the turbines, and tells Isarugi to alert their allies. Basically, the time to rise up is now. So back with Tekadon, Atra is trying to flirt with Mika and get him to think about having a baby, since she and Kudelia agreed, best way to tie him down is to have a baby. And so they're both going to try to, see who can get pregnant first. But right now, Mikazuki does not seem interested in that at all.
No.
He's like, I like to eat them.
He said
Like,
babies
what-
look like they're delicious. And it's just like,
he called them like yeah.
Yeah.
He said they little chubby wrists.
I really laughed at those parts. I was like, this dude's bruh. She's like,
Tony
you don't get no more
Baker
food.
has a joke about how babies' arms look like food, like little like chicken arms or whatever.
Disturbing, to say the least. Laughter and the other turbines arrive back home with Amida and Naze's top wife there, and realizes that they've made some strong connections with Tekadon. And she talks about it with Naze later, and he's kind of happy. They made strong bonds. He refers to them as his daughters in a way, which is kind of weird, but it's not like he's not romantically involved with all of them. Basically, they're all wives.
No McGillis shit.
Yeah. But since they all remind him, basically Tekadon reminds him of the turbines back in the old days. And from there, we get a flashback to how Naze and Amida met. First, just as a smuggler and a mercenary, but then they fell in love with each other, and eventually they started working together. They help abused and trafficked women. Naze would ceremonially marry them to bring them under his protection. He said, of course, I did sleep with some of them. Like, I'm not one to turn down an opportunity, but
I feel you, Naze. I feel you.
But he provided them with reliable and safe work, relatively safe work. And he joined with Taiwaz too to provide that extra layer of protection for all of them. And now they have this strong organization that feels more like a family. And that's what Tekadon is. But of course, these sappy scenes only mean danger is coming, and Gallahorn soon arrives.
Every time, bro. This show's an easy setup for this.
I was like, oh, they're done. Mikazuki is meeting with Taiwa's the Taiwa's boss, and his assistant like burst in to let him know, hey, the turbines are being attacked, for shipping those guns to Tekadon. Or the turbines are under attack for shipping those guns to Tekadon. And things kind of get awkward. Orga gets the same news from McGillis and is like distraught that there's nothing anybody can do without making the situation worse. Moving against Galahorn means like then you become illegal and then you become an enemy of the state. It's a tricky situation. And Naze, now on the run, realizes, hey, somebody sold me out, but I don't know who. But when Orga calls him, he's just like, no, listen to everybody telling you not to get involved. You have your own family to protect. Let me protect mine. The turbines are now on our own. And the last episode, the Taiwa's boss tells Mikazuki he doesn't want Tekadon getting involved, just like we were saying. But he leaves basically, and Mikazuki, goes to tell Orga, the same thing. But as he leaves, the boss gets a call from Naze, and he promises to leave Taiwa's, disband the turbines. He just asks, please look after the women in my crew. And the boss agrees. He's like, I'll help him, but might have to split them up, and he can kind of live with that. Orga is furious that his hands are tied and he can't save Naze, and Maribit's trying to talk some kind of sense to him that if they get involved, Tekadon will be crushed. Luckily for him though, Shino and Akihiro have a plan. They will come in to run some, heavy air quotes here, exercises that just so happen to be close to where the turbines are. And if they just so happen to see some civilians that need some help, they will pick them up. I mean, there's nothing wrong with helping some civilians out, right? Maribit hates this idea, but Orga gives him the go ahead and is just like, save Naze for me, please. And as the turbines are making their escape, Iok and his fleet arrive for their attack. Naze orders everybody off the ship so they can, escort the supplies and crew away from the main ship safely, while he stays behind and tries to surrender and to prevent this from going any farther. And of course, Amita stays behind in her mobile suit to, try to act as protection for him against his orders. But, he's just like, what am I going to say?
He don't run her. Let's not even front.
Nope. And he tries to send a message flares and white flags to Iok, to surrender, but that dude purposely avoids seeing them. I didn't see anything. You guys see anything? And they're like, no, we're not here to take prisoners today. Instead, he mobilizes the full strength of his fleet, including mobile suits, taking the same illegal cannons he's arresting Naze for using.
Destroying Naze for using.
Yeah.
Killing him. Yeah. And he turns those same weapons, not on Naze or Amita, but on the fleeing transport ships that hold the supplies and the crew to devastating effect. And more mobile suits charge in to attack Laughter and those that are guarding the ships. To cover them, though, Naze shoots a smoke bomb to hide their movements from Iok, and Julieta decides that, now is when she should deploy her new suit. And soon she and Amita meet up in the field of battle, just as Akihiro and the other Tekadon pilots arrive to help protect the fleeing transports. Meanwhile, Naze still tries to do the honorable thing by charging through the smoke screen and signaling surrender, while Amita shows Julieta that even though she's got a new suit, she is much farther to go as a pilot.
She washed the fuck out of her.
She washed her.
Absolutely. Iok, though, again, has no plans of accepting the surrender and orders another volley of the Dyne's Leaf cannons, even though Julieta's in the range of fire. He's like, she'll dodge it, which she does. But Amita's hit several times, and in her last breaths, she fires a shot at Iok's bridge, shattering the glass, blocking his view and showing Naze where to steer his ship. And with nothing left to lose, Naze pilots his ship directly into Iok's fleet, where there's a huge explosion. It costs him his life, but the turbines and Tekadon are able to make their escape. And as the episode comes to an end, we see the members of Tekadon grieving as they hear the news.
Bro.
Oh, man.
Organ sheds a tear.
Yo, bro.
The only person that didn't shed a tear was Mikazuki. This motherfucker
He was just chilling, holding her like...
He is... What's the right word? Sociopath, psychopath, all the paths. He's all of those.
He's got 6 paths. He's all the paths.
Bro, I think even if he's literally showed no emotion with anybody's death, just kind of just like, well, this is part of the game.
I think Orga is going to be the only person that he would show emotion for. Anybody. Maybe Akihiro, but I doubt it. It'd have to literally be Orga. I think he'll get more upset over Orga than he would both of the ladies.
I was upset over Naze, bro. Naze is the fam, man. He looks out for everybody. He's been nothing but helpful to everybody around him. And
he's been a father to everybody.
Yeah, he's like, I'm your big brother. I'm your dad. I'm your, whatever you need me to be to support you to be better. That's who he was in every moment of this show. And he was cool as fuck. He dressed well. He was funny. He did all the shit. You know what I'm saying? He just was like boss energy, like big dick energy all day. All day. Just straight up
move.
Just I'm here for it. He was great, and I miss him already.
Well, shout out to Rob, man, for that recap, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, good job, Rob. That was dense.
That was quick though.
I tried to keep it tight.
Yeah, that was quick.
That was probably your quickest one ever.
All right, so we're gonna
better all the time.
We're gonna go through the questions. Remember the questions are time, minute and a half. Answer these. First question. This mobile armor wasn't playing no jokes, man. It's serving cats up and destroying people, destroying whole little mini towns or whatever. Who do you think created the mobile armor? Brennan.
What's interesting about this show is that they don't talk about that. Like, they just say that the shit was done. Like, I'm just saying, if you guys pay attention, like whenever they start talking about the history of the mobile armor, they just always talk about like the results of the mobile armor. They don't talk about like, like when the people built this to respond to blah, blah, blah. They didn't say that. They just said these things were built to kill people. And that's what they were built to do. And for me, that made me feel like there's a possibility that these weren't people that built this. Is that there's some other kind of civilization or something that was warring with us, but they don't speak to that. They don't speak to it. They leave it purposely blank. So I found this to be a really interesting note to point out is like, who would build something like this? And I started thinking about it. I'm like, there are certain people that think like Thanos, that there's too many people anyway. And so those types of people getting into power would build something like this and just say, all right, cool. The only fail safe is that they can't attack this certain area of this certain place. And everybody else can die. And it feels like something that some evil ass humans would do. So I don't know who would do it, but I just thought I'd point out that it's crazy that they don't bring up the thing that literally murdered, who built the thing that murdered a quarter of the population of the earth or people 300 years ago. Like, who the fuck would do that? Who would build that shit? I don't know.
Brennan knows because he's watched the show, but that's the good answer. I was wondering that too. And I was just like, I think it might be Gallahorn's people or something like that, because I feel like they know probably more than everybody about it, and they always come like, yo, don't mess with this stuff because this is what it does. Like, chill, just trust me on this. So I feel like they got something. There's something behind what they know. They know more than what they're saying about the mobile armor, and yeah, I guess they had that kind of elitist mentality anyway. Like, just get rid of a lot of these dogs and just. The creme de la creme to rise to the top. Nice.
Yeah, I think it's Gallahorn. I think if somebody in Gallahorn saw the power of the mobile suits and was like, we need something to combat that in case they get sick, wild, and or either that or they was like, man, people keep dying. We need to make a more efficient version of the mobile suits that doesn't need to be piloted. And then they was tweaking with it and then made the mobile armor and was like, fuck, I can't control it.
Rob?
I'm going to go a little different, which I did the math. If it killed a quarter of the world's population, that would be 1,900,000,000 people, which is crazy.
That's our world. That's not like
our world today. Yeah. Who knows what they had back then? Actually, I mean, I'm going to take McGillis at his word here that Gallahorn was built to defeat these things. So it sounds like these mobile armors predate Gallahorn. It could be a scenario where like, maybe this legendary dude that made Gallahorn made these mobile armors to have a reason to create a Gallahorn. That's totally a possibility. But I could totally see it being like, like a USA or like China or like Russia. Like, we're going to make something that's like an AI, mobile thing that takes out our enemies. But then, it's a Terminator type situation where the AI like clicks on it and it's just like, why am I following their orders? I make the best decisions here. I'm just taking out, the AI basically becomes Thanos and it's just like the biggest threat to people is people. And so just starts taking out all these people across the globe so that they aren't a problem to each other anymore. But Gallahorn came together, they say to defeat these things.
That's interesting because they haven't brought anybody else up that might be enemies to this. That's what makes me question that. So that's why I'm interested. But it's funny that you bring up AI. Do you think there will be a time that will come where AI will make human? There's a clean transition. Make humans obsolete? Why or why not? Nice.
My bad for interrupting the question. That shit was smooth. Yeah, I don't think it'll be a time when we're 100% obsolete, but I do think there will come a time where robots or AI or any type of artificial intelligence will impact humans very negatively, like from a job perspective. I think they'll get to a point where a whole McDonald's will be run by AI. It'll get to a point where a whole factory will be controlled by AI. And there may be like one person overseeing, a couple people overseeing the robots, maybe doing some quality control, but that's pretty much it. And at the worst, I see it just taking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of jobs across the world. But I don't see it turning into a Matrix level type of takeover.
Rob?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, in a way, that's already happening. And not even necessarily like AI, but like even just like the fact that you got self checkouts or whatever. Like you can just like do it yourself. But no, I agree. As far as like the AI stuff, I do think we're going to start seeing a world that's more automated, and these sort of like menial jobs, these factory jobs, these blue collar jobs, a lot of them are going to start going away and going to like AI stuff. And hopefully we can come up with a system, whether it's like universal income or something like that, so people can be taken care of, because unfortunately it looks like that's the way we're headed. We're going to start seeing a lot of jobs going towards AI. Hopefully it's just that. I mean, I don't want to get into a Terminator scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with Ice. It's not going to be fully obsolete, because you go to self-checkout, the regular lines are still long in the self-checkout. People are not messing with that. People hate automated phone calls. They hate dealing with the computer. Just give me a representative 0. Like, I'm that dude. 0. I don't want to hear that. It's like, but I do agree that in the factory worker wise, and I've seen like already the machines that they've been putting together, factory workers might be the biggest at risk in the sense of like losing their jobs to that. And but I don't know if it'll ever get to a point where like they take over and it's like world domination, and now we're the slaves to the robots and the AIs. I don't know if that's coming.
Right?
Hopefully.
I think this is a huge conversation and a very deep question. But to summarize, this is a very futurist type of conversation. I agree that universal income is going to be necessary at some point. Because
can you break that down for us, Brennan?
Universal income?
Yeah.
Universal income is just pretty much guaranteeing that everybody gets X amount of money every month or every set period of time for doing nothing, just for surviving, because there's not enough jobs, there's not enough opportunity to create the ability for people to work to earn income. And so like everybody just gets enough money to survive just based off of just being here. And then if any prosperity past that, you can figure out yourself. But like when there's no more factory jobs, the biggest one, you guys are talking about factory jobs. I don't personally believe that's actually the biggest one. I believe the biggest one is truck drivers. Actually, there's a lot more truck drivers in this country than there are factory workers. And Tesla already has released a self-driving semi-truck. So when you think about all the semi-trucks,
doesn't sleep. Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you want to talk about like how many jobs are going to be lost and what can happen and what's going to happen with all that workforce and all those jobs, like there's just not going to be enough jobs for people to do. And we're going to move more towards like, was it WALL-E is the name of that movie? Where it's just like, we don't actually have a direct purpose outside of being creative in our space and entertaining each other, because all of our needs are going to be taken care of by artificial intelligence and robotics. So universal income becomes necessary, and a lot of other things too.
Good job wrapping that up. After spending a seat.
Wasn't ready for that quick dismount. You didn't see that coming.
That's a good comeback. After spending a season and a half with Mikazuki, what are your feelings on him? Is he honorable warrior that would do anything for the cause, or he's just a bloodthirsty killer that can only live in violence?
This is a Rob question. Yeah, I knew it.
Mikazuki, I think, is the most complicated character for me on this show. Whereas, like, am I rooting for this dude? I don't know. Because I know we've talked about this where it's like, this guy's clearly got something up with him where, like, we know from his past, he was killing as a child. Like, his first, like, duel that he killed that dude before he even got his last words out. And that dude was, for the most part, pretty chill. Like, he tried to do everything honorably. But Mikazuki is I think, a cold-blooded killer. And I'm, like, a little bit worried for what he does do in a world of peace. And it worries me that he's just like, I'm so happy I don't even have to worry about that anymore. My only world is violence. It's the only way I can live is by killing people. Is like a very concerning way for him to like try to comfort Orga. Is like, no, don't worry, dude. I'm not worried anymore. Now I can just think about killing. It's cool. So Mikazuki, he gives me some weird vibes. I'm not sure that I'm rooting for this guy.
Nice.
Yeah, Mika's a dog. And I think watching him is sad. It's sad because there's real life people that feel the same way. And at least to Mika's credit, Well, never mind. I won't say that. But I think that Mika's he's just a dog. That's all he knows. I think that to the point that we were talking last week, that when you grow up in a certain environment and all you know is violence, that's your lifestyle. So to us, it may seem crazy, but he might can say that to somebody else, and that's a rational statement. Like, oh, okay, damn, there's somebody else that feel the same way I do. Yeah, he needs some therapy, but I feel like that won't even do anything for him.
He'll kill the therapist, dog. The therapist dies after the second session.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad to watch him and him feel that way, and just to give his body up. I think from a consumer perspective of watching the anime, usually you see the Vegeta types where it's like you start off here and you end up here. Mika starts off here and he's still fucking there. Like there's no blowing yourself up for anybody moments. There's no giving yourself, there's no character. It's character development, but it's like his character development is learning how to read and write, not getting compassion. So it's like he's still where he was from season 1, and that in the bloodthirst perspective. And that's fucking wild to me.
Yeah. I feel weird about him too. Like I feel like with him, it's like I want to be attached to him more, but I'm not, because he has no emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's cool if you have like this guy that just like he's willing to take it there. He's willing to just smash on anybody. But now I want to get more into his backstory. Like I feel like I want to see more into his backstory to why he has zero emotion. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, we saw him kill somebody, but why is he fully like that? Like, was there a moment when he was a scared kid? And he's like, I had to make his decision at one point, so now he became this way because that's how he feels like he has to survive.
Yeah,
I want to go deeper into the psychology of him, because it's like he's off, like he's completely off, and it's like I think he's gonna die for sure, but it's just like I wonder how I'm gonna feel when he dies. I think that's when he's gonna have his one moment. He's gonna have his emotional moment. Is a moment towards the end of this, if he does die, it's going to be like, well, you know what? You guys are my family, and I didn't realize I do have emotion in my heart. He's going to pass out. Brendan?
Too late to go back.
Brendan?
I think he's on the spectrum, to be honest. If you pay attention to like his social interactions, the way that works, spectrum of autism, by the way, for specifically letting you know what I'm talking about, is that there's a lot of different ways you can be on the spectrum. And I believe that he's on the spectrum because a lot of people who are on the spectrum display superhuman abilities in spaces that don't even make any sense. And also really, really lack in social communications and sometimes empathy. So I think that that's what this is a combination of this kid being just physically very strong and very mentally strong fortitude, being put into a really shitty situation where empathy wasn't shown to him. And so he built his bond with who he felt was going to be able to help him get what he wanted, Orga, and then turned himself into whatever he thought he needed to be able to support the belief system that he created for himself, which falls in line with everything that we said. So I don't particularly like, because the thing is, like, it's hard to call him a psychopath or anything like that, because he doesn't seem to necessarily enjoy killing anybody. Like, he doesn't enjoy it. He's not smiling. He's not laughing. He's not like, I can't wait to get into the next fight. He's more so just like, just tell me what needs to happen so we can reach our goal. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's bloodthirsty. He's just like, look, I'm gonna fuck shit up because you tell me to. I'm gonna fuck shit up because that's what needs to happen to protect the family. And that's all like he cares about. So for me, it's like, it is a mixed emotion, but at the same time, I'm like, this guy just, like you said, he's off. But if I had seen him taking joy in killing others, then I would feel probably differently about him, but I don't see that. So yeah, that's right. That's how I feel about him.
He might be a robot. That's how he responds to a lot of shit. He might be a robot. So next question. I forgot the young girl's name that wants to have a baby, or one of the other.
Oh, Atra.
Atra. She wants to have a baby. She wants to have a baby. She wants to have a baby with Mika to stop him from doing dumb shit. Pretty much like, you know, this would tame a man. This would make him pretty much have some logic or whatever the case may be. Has a woman ever stopped you from doing something stupid? Yes, plenty of times for me. I would say a lot of it goes for violence. I would say this woman that had talked me out of ass whoopings that I'm sure would have came to me. I'm sure there was a few where physically anyways, I didn't have a shot. Here, the heart that I have, I'm going. But physically, this motherfucker would have tossed me into the Pacific Ocean and I would have drowned. Like it would have been, and I'm not near the beach. So yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of times women have that perfect balance. Men are sometimes we could be primal, and a lot of women aren't primal, and they can normally talk us off that bridge from doing something crazy. Brennan?
I was hoping you go ice next, but because I thought this is such an ice question.
An ice
like,
story.
It's gonna be explosions and like vaginas flying everywhere. Like,
what? Explosions?
But in all honesty, like for me, the feeling that I had in reading and listening to you say that question is actually my mom. I know that's not the answer you're really looking for.
No. That's a good answer though.
Yeah, man. My mom, like, there's been so many times where I'm just like, I have a really good relationship with my mother, and you know, like, I'll talk to her about some stuff, and she'll just give me that perspective. She also happens to be a counselor, so it helps out a lot. You know, so I'll just be like, I think I'm gonna. And she's like, is that really what you want to do? And you're just like, well, yeah. What you want though? You're just like, that was going to be really dumb. Wow. Okay. You know, like I see what you're saying now. The waterfall, the cascading effects of what I was about to do are not worth it. So I'd say that my mom has done that countless times for me. And there's not a particular time I can really think of off top, but I just know countless.
I mean, actually, that's a great answer to say your mom, to be honest with you. Rob, I'm gonna let Ice go last because I'm sure, like you said,
you stop. You talk with your turn. We already know. Everywhere, flying everywhere.
Many women have certainly tried to talk me out of making dumbass decisions. I no, for sure. You know, and even in my relationship I'm in now, like even on a daily basis, I feel like we talked about this recently, or I think a few shows ago, just like, you know, especially because we're around each other so much, like, you know, we're having a relationship on a totally different level now where I'm just like, you know, what do you think about this? And like, we talk each other down from so many situations of just like, where we're both at a 10, like the other person always seems to have that, like, and to balance the other out. And she's done that for me.
Yes.
I mean, since we've been together. I mean, so she's helped me a lot. Even more anecdotal, like the last party I went to, the Transit Pictures Christmas party, I was having a good time. I had some drinks. I went to the fridge and I was just like, hey, this wine cooler looks good. And as soon as I grabbed that, there was a hand on my shoulder and she was there. She was like, don't drink that. And I was like, that was the right decision. She talked me out of making a dumbass choice of drinking a stupid wine cooler I never would have drunk anyway, just because I had a few drinks and I'm just trying to keep that good time going. So she helped me out there as well. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like normally I go to my girl when I'm having like an email and I'm gonna cuss somebody out and she'll be like, tone it back. All right, so Ice, we're letting you loose. We're letting you loose, Ice. We're cutting you loose. Go ahead.
I like I'm fucking Mika or something. I mean, what came to mind when I thought about this was a particular situation, and I think when we talk about dumb decisions. No, I'm not talking about that one. I ain't talking about that. When we talk about dumb decisions, I feel like, well, when my mind went to is like, once you make a dumb decision, people can stop you from double downing on that. And I think, you know, it's been very well documented that I double down on a lot of stuff. And
no.
And it was a situation where, you know, I made an initial dumb decision of trying to fight two dudes. And I was successful in that, but I think I started to take it too far. And then that's when a woman came in and was like, hey, you're borderline in self-defense. Now you're on the verge of going to jail. So I think you need to stop. And I think that just like that, it's like, I already put myself in a bad position, you know, to Keenan's point, fighting two dudes, like that could have went very bad. But it's like the voice of reason, like, hey, you're here, but it can get even worse from where you're at. So shout out to her for doing that, because it could have got worse.
And also with stuff like that too, you're dealing with like, we're at the age where people they don't like to take losses. They'll just kill you.
Yeah, true.
And
that's what she was saying.
Especially you beat up two dudes. That's the pride of that. Oh, he whipped both our ass? Nah.
Yeah.
They gonna go back to their homies, say they got jumped.
Yeah. Facts.
They come back and, you know, deal with you. Yeah. All right.
Well, your hand was raised. What happened?
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to point out that we're just going to smoothly accept Ice just calmly telling us a story of him taking on 2 grown men in a fight and winning it, and a woman stopping him from pretty much killing them. But go on, guys, please, as we were to the next episode. Because like I said, explosions, things flying, whatever. Cool.
The bar here, you set the bar at 11. He came in at a 9, and so it was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we set him up to have to go this far, Brennan. We didn't say anything.
It could have gone much farther. Like, did y'all not notice that I was doing hand signals during his story that he had to say, no, Brennan, not that story? Just going to point that out. Please continue, Keenan. Let's get to the next question.
And I guarantee if we had more time for questions, he would have kept going and it would have been more. All right, yeah, you're right. All right, next question. Would you want to keep fighting if you were Mika? After all he's been through, his whole right side is shut down. Would you want to keep fighting after this, Brennan?
That's the reason I asked this question is because I think it's a really good question. Because Mika makes a good point. He's like, if I'm not connected to this giant killing machine, then I'm not a whole human anymore. And so should I keep doing this, or should I, if I keep doing this, I'm going to obviously probably further sacrifice my body, because that seems to be the case. Or if I don't, then I already have sacrificed half of it. And so it's a hard choice. For me, I could see myself going in 2 directions very distinctly. One of them going into medical science immediately to learn what is going on with this the Alivenia system, whatever it's called, and figuring out how I could just have a backpack on at all times that just allows me to do what I need to do instead of an umbilical cord. And number 2, probably still keep giving the hands, man. Like figuring out a way to be able to allow this thing to be something more than a killing machine. But I would say keep fighting. It's like, all right, well, this is it. If I was Mika, not if you put Brennan's brain in Mika, I'm going medical science all day. But if I was raised in the same situation as Mika and I ended up in this same situation there, I'm probably gonna have to keep throwing hands.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree with that. I don't think he knows anything else at this point. So I think he would feel like he's dying if he's not fighting. He'll be dying a slow death. Like to him, that's
or
just
farming.
Like, what can he even farm? Shut down.
Just got one hole in his hand.
He rolled out of bed and fell on his face, dog. That might have been the most messed up / funniest shit I saw in the show.
Humbling.
It wasn't. He still was just like, well, anyways, you're taking me with you. I don't care what's going on. Yeah. If like you said, the question is, if I'm Mika, yeah, I don't know anything else. I'm like, bro, this is all I have. Like, please, like you not letting me do this, you're destroying my life. So don't destroy my life. Let me go kill. And that's a sad fucking reality, but I don't know how many other ways you can cut it. Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really tempted to just be like, I don't know, put me up in a chair on the farm with like a bag of corn so I can throw it out to the chickens with my one good arm. But like, how long is that thing before you're fucking, So like, I probably take some more time off than Mika did, but eventually like, yeah, because when you've known what your life can be like, if somebody's born, with a certain, disability or something like that, like you can make a life for that. But when you have that taken from you and you still know that there's a way for you to get that back, how are you not going to do everything you can to get that back? So I would want to pursue the peaceful life, I think, a little bit more than Mika. But at the end of the day, if that's what allows me to feel like a whole human being again, yeah, I'm going to go back to it.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, so many movies have been made off of that plot, like some being taken from you and people going into alternate realities or doing certain things or getting in machines or giving a body up for science or whatever the cost may be to get back to what there was. To Rob's point of having something, it was there and it got taken away from you. You do whatever it takes. Oh, super soldier, cool, I'll do that. Oh, this thing, this robot is gonna take, potentially can take my whole body. Okay, whatever it is, let me get back in the game. I'm gonna do that. Athletes do it. Whatever it takes. So if I was Mika, definitely, because that's really what this question made me think about, or this show made me think about more specifically Mika's purpose. It's like, what would I do if somebody took something, like, what's my purpose? Like, that all his purpose was fighting. Do I only have one singular purpose? Because if you do, then once that thing is gone, you have nothing. To Mika's point, once fighting is gone, he has nothing. He can't bake. He can't teach nobody. He has no other attribute that
kind of read.
Right. Yeah. It took him fucking 30 seconds to figure out what one out of 4 was. So like, that kind of fucked me up, kind of watching that. There's like, damn, this is all he knows is fighting. And if that was him, I'm definitely fighting.
Yeah. Next question. Because Mika got the W, but his body's taking the L's, man. Is Iok our new? Is Iok? That's his name, Iok?
I think so. Yeah, Iok. Yeah.
Is Iok the new king of taking L's? And is there any defense of this man? Because he is a flat out piece of shit. Go ahead, Rob.
I struggle to find a way to defend him other than like he's, trying to just retain his own honor, and he's going to do clearly whatever he can to do that. But this dude is a piece of shit. He has screwed up every single plan. Like he screwed up the plan like twice in that whole debacle with the mobile armor. And I don't think he's been on the winning side of any equation. Like every time this dude has shown up, his side has taken the L. Like he's like just as bad as that magician's nephew in God of High School who just showed up to be turned into a Hulk and then like cut in half. This dude has not gotten one W. I think he's maybe
he killed the Turbine.
Absolutely. He did that, but like it's some unarmed civilians.
But it was still. I'm just saying, like he took a moral L, but not a physical L.
But in that same fight, I mean, I don't know if he's dead because we haven't seen we haven't gotten like him on screen dead or alive. I think that's still a question mark for those of us that haven't seen it yet. But like, Naze drove his ship into his even in that whole fight, he's still taking the L for that.
Some people getting sucked into space.
Bad time. I feel like this guy is is our new king of L's.
Nice.
Who was our previous king?
Easily.
Maybe?
No, the guy from what was the show that we just watched that was about the prison? And there was the one guy who showed up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
You guys know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah,
like the guy
from Wonderland.
Yeah, from Dead Man's Wonderland. Yeah, there's that guy, Dead Man's Wonderland, who every time he showed up, he got stomped into the ground. He took every L.
Because he was like, oh yes, I got to plan.
Yeah, I got to plan. Everything's fine. Damn, life was flat.
Damn, I feel like they neck and neck because they kind of the same person. Like they're neck and neck. Like Iok's like, I got a plan, but I think Iok, the stakes are higher. I guess. I mean, almost, but it's like you can go for either one. If you say either one is the king of L's, I won't debate you on that because they damn near, they definitely going to a game 7. But yeah, he's I think he doesn't understand like what's going on. He thinks that somebody likes him, like homegirl like him, like fam, she don't like you. She just wants you to get out the way. Like she don't care. You're gonna go defend my honor. Like shut up. Like nobody likes you. And everybody knows that one dude or girl that like thinks everybody fucks with him, but nobody fucks with him. And it's just like a running joke that everybody has. He's that dude in this anime.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brennan, and I'll close it out quick on this one.
I think that the guy from Dead Man's Wonderland is still our king. And here's my argument. First of all, Kato took the biggest L of anybody, but a king is not somebody who rules over the biggest subject. It's the one who rules over the most. So he has the most L's, as well as we have to look at situational L's, where this whole entire show happened in a prison because this man was in a prison to go save his sister who was already fucked from a life that was already fucked. Whereas Iok is royalty, has a bunch of ships, has all the opportunity to take these L's and still keep pushing forward, and it's okay. Whereas my other man is sleeping in a prison cell after he gets his ass beat after every single one of these things. So I still say that motherfucker takes the biggest L's. He is the king of L's. We now have a new Duke of L's, is what I was saying.
Duke of L's.
Duke Ellington.
if you will.
Beautifully put. Those are all great answers for King of L's, but I think the King of L of all L's is Vegeta. I don't think anybody has taken as many L's as he has.
I almost brought it up.
Every time he gets an upgrade in power, he takes another L. I've been reading the manga in the Super. He's taking another L, even though he just got another power up. You don't know what happened though. And it's the manga. It's the manga. You don't read the manga.
The whole reason I watched Dragon Ball series is because I want to see Vegeta get a W. And honestly, you just told me he takes another L in the future.
Then you are watching the wrong show, my friend.
I get that, but at the same time,
Toriyama doesn't like him. Number one, two. This is the manga. We don't even know when the series is coming back. They haven't even announced if there's going to be a series coming back.
Neither one of those arguments takes away that you just spoiled some shit. But please continue.
That's true. That's true. I mean, Brenda's right.
That's not really a spoiler. If you're not reading the manga,
100% a spoiler.
It's
Vegeta
100%
takes another L. Literal definition.
we don't even know if they're going to show that in
Just
the
finish
anime.
your goddamn answer.
Goku has another meal. That's just Dragon Ball, man. Like,
Be like, bro, I'm
Goku
mad. Thank
has
you, Rob.
another
Thank you.
meal.
Thank you, Rob, for having my back. What the fuck?
He said Goku has another meal. Oh my god.
that's as
Yeah.
common as Vegeta taking an L. Sorry.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, Toriyama's not going to let Vegeta get a W. It's just not going to happen. And I think he's
Well,
the king of-
let us believe at least, okay? Just
You
give
go
us
ahead
that.
and believe,
You took it away.
No,
took it away.
you don't. If you read the manga, I took it away. You don't read the manga.
I do read the manga.
You don't read the super manga.
I will at some point because we would already.
I don't got
talk about
time for you reading it at some point. You might not read it for 3 years later. Anyway,
It ain't gonna be 3 years.
Vegeta is the king of L's at the end of the day. But this guy is coming up, like you said. The other two are the Duke Ellingtons. They're
Vegeta has a wife. He has a kid. He can fly. He can blow up planets. You know what I'm saying? Like he can get revived.
He got W's too.
That's what I'm saying. The guy in the prison has none. Is my point.
Okay,
Literally no W's.
I give you that argument.
He's the king. We have another Duke and Vegeta.
Prince of all L's.
The Prince
Prince
of
of
all L's is
Yes.
Vegeta.
Vegeta's the
Hilarious.
prince.
King, the Prince, and the Duke all together.
Ah, great leveling. So this is piggyback off.
That's the name of this episode: the King, the Prince, and the Duke.
I'm gonna flip these questions actually because this makes more sense to put this back to back. Have you ever had someone fuck up a good situation like Io did? And is he the most hated character ever? Ever is very, very strong, but go ahead, Brennan.
All right, so I don't have a good answer for that question. I mostly just put that up there for Ice because I just want to hear the vaginas fly again. So I'm not going to even speak to it. I don't have a good question I could think of for it. But the most hated anime character ever, he easily falls in line. Because I mean, obviously, since we talked about Dragon Ball earlier, Frieza is up there just for pure racist, white supremacist shit. Like, you know, you could argue that Askeladd could be up there. You either hate him or love him. There's no real in between from Vinland Saga. You could argue that I'm trying to think who else I'm trying to think of shit that we've just watched.
Don't take our answers, man. Leave us some.
Yeah.
All right, last one I'll say is the moms from Promised Neverland. The mom from Promised Neverland, the grandma. Holy shit. But yeah, man, like he, for me personally, just because he's black, and because he's just incomparably fucking stupid. As well as situationally so unaware in every way possible. And like you said, these are Duke Ellington. Like he easily is top 3 most hated character I've ever seen in anything. You know, like I don't even remember any of the characters of Gangsta, but like I don't know if I hate him as a character more than the show of Gangsta or not. Like I really just hate him. I know we're supposed to hate him.
To the show of Gangsta? I don't hate the characters from there, but the show
overall.
The show itself, yeah.
Uh,
So that's how I feel.
Go ahead, Ice.
You let me finish this text.
No, I can't text him on airplane mode. When I read that question the other day, earlier, I thought about in high school, we still give our friends shit about this. I think about high school is like, we had a friend, well, he was dating this girl, and this girl worked at this Mexican restaurant that we love, and she would like hook us up all the time. And, you know, we broke high school, like every day after practice, she would come with like a bunch of food. Anytime that we needed something, she would be like, cause she was working, and she would just be like, oh, y'all need this money, you need this. Like she was hooking us up, and we said, fam, whatever you do, like don't break up with her. Like she is like
She's
helping
everything,
us.
right.
Yeah, like don't do that. And sure enough, like they would get into arguments and stuff, and we'd be like, dog, just take the L. Just take the L. And then he just got to the point where he was like, nah, he ended up like cheating on her, going off on her and stuff. And then we didn't really realize it in the moment. It was like, okay, we'll be all right. But no, like, dog, we was hungry all the time. We was like, damn, like, wait, just figure, like, we would, like, for like a month or two straight, we always would tell him, like, figure this shit out, bro. We got to get back in the game. Like, we can't be out here like this. And then overall, most hated character for me, it would be Sakura from Naruto. Like,
We didn't watch that. I hate you.
oh, you talking about from
That's
stuff
all
that
right.
we watched? I didn't know. Did it say that?
No. Well, we
no,
don't keep it to that, but it's fine.
Okay. From stuff that we watched, I think, I mean, she comes up quite often. Well, it's a couple people, but definitely the girl from Parasite with the paint thinner. I think she's super hated. Rob hates her with his
That's a
entire
good
life.
answer. That's a good answer.
She was stupid.
We got to wrap this up, Ice.
Yeah, so I think that's it. It was her.
Rob.
I'm sorry. I can't really even think of a situation that would lend itself well to like a time that's. I'm sure there was something where somebody fucked up something for everybody, but I'll just keep it to the second part like, most hated anime character. I'm surprised she didn't come up earlier. Princess Slut or whatever from Rise of the Shield Hero.
Yes. Yes.
Oh yeah, slut bitch.
Yeah, she sucked. She was the worst. Every time she was on screen, I was like, my heart rate went up. I think she is like maybe my most hated character, maybe of almost anything, anywhere, anytime. She was the worst. Yeah, that's it.
Oh fuck! I don't even have nothing to top that shit, Rob.
Yeah, gee, that's a good answer, bro.
That's a great answer. Britta had a good one with Frieza also. The ones that I can, the ones that I want
for you guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, just gonna recap y'all answers.
Yeah.
Only one I kind of have is in the chamber is that I can think of is the girl from Evangelion, or I think it was the redhead girl.
Oh yeah.
I did not fucking like her, man.
Yeah.
Everything
Asuka?
about what's her
Similar
name?
character too. Yeah, I forget her name, but
She was Asuka.
Oh man, she was just. I hate just angry characters that are reckless and do stupid shit. And Ayok is one of those characters. Like I hate characters that operate with lack of logic and selfishness to where it's just like, well, I don't care. It's like, bro, you're putting everybody in danger. Well, I gotta do this for me and my pride. It's like, bro, this shit ain't just about you, man.
Right.
If those characters, and maybe that's an attestament for good writing. I don't know, for like make me hate a character that much and put that much emotional hate into a character. But that guy, I can't. I mean, her, I couldn't fucking stand. And they fall in a similar vein. And then, of course, the girl, like you said, the slut chick from Shield Hero. She was making me. I wanted to strangle myself watching her ass. That's how bad she was, bro. She was fucking terrible.
She was bad.
All right. Next question. Speaking of bad, is Orga a bad leader by putting his main homie, family member, his brother, and risking bringing Mika along with him on this? After it was just, they kind of told him like, hey man, I don't know if you should bring him. He's kind of damaged. And even though Mika was just like, yo, I'm going regardless. Do you take that into your own hands and be like, yo, I got to make a boss call here? Me personally, if you're my homie and I love you like that, I understand. And it might even contradict my other answer or what I was saying about Mika earlier about this is all he knows, so you'll be killing him slowly. But I would just take him out for a minute to at least try to find a way to help him recover so we can get him back out there. Even though I guess technically he can still fight the same when he's locked into it, he's attached to it. But I don't know. I feel like personally me, I think Orga kind of is a bad leader in this sense. I don't think you put your homie at that risk. That's just me. I understand that the answers can go another way. Rob?
You know, I do have some issues with Orga's leadership, but this isn't one of them. In that, like, that's just sort of the business they're in. And in the fact that they are, in the nature of Tekadon, like, they're all, like, in a way, they're all family. Like, that's kind of the matter of it. Like, I know, obviously, he and Mika have the closest relationship. Like, they have a true brotherhood bond. But, like, every single one of those people that he puts out there, they are all very close with each other. And the fact of the matter was, like, nobody else had the skill to take out that armor that Mika had. And the balance of like Mika's life versus everybody increase in that whole city, like, it's a tough decision, but I think that was the right decision. So I do have issues with Orga's leadership, but for me personally, I think it was a tough call, but I think he made the right one.
Ready?
I think it really comes down to like how you define leadership. Because it's like you can be a great leader leading people into a horrible place. Like there's been leaders who've gotten people to literally drink the Kool-Aid and all die.
Jimmy.
You could argue that he was a great leader, an immoral leader, an unethical leader, a stupid leader, but a great leader nonetheless, because leadership is about influence. And so I think Orga is a great leader when it comes to influence, is because anybody who's around him, he has old motherfuckers, like the people who have experience with other organizations and stuff, following him and believing in him. And that for me just makes him a great leader. And I agree with Rob's breakdown of that specific move. Like, it doesn't matter if this is your homie or not. Like, if it's like for me, like as a leader, if it's looking at like that, like if I have to sacrifice one of my favorite, pieces of the play to be able to save the whole team, you have to, regardless of how you particularly feel about it, you have to do it. And that's the hard part of what, of leadership, is being able to understand what can you bear. It's like you have to bear the crown. The heavy lays the crown is something that Rob says to me all the time, being the leader of the company that we have, but it's just the truth. Is that like you have to be able to bear the weight of these decisions that nobody else can make. And that's what makes leaders real leaders, is making those decisions instead of passing them off. So I think he's a great leader. But I do have issues with his leadership as well. But overall, I say great leader for what he was given and who he is.
Nice.
Yeah, to Brendan's point, leadership is fuck, man. It's not for everybody, and even the people that think they can do it, they can't. And it shows. I think, just I guess to get a more grounded example of just like even with me at leading a team of people and having OT available and people working 60, 70 hours a week of OT. And I'm like, fam, you have to stop. You can't work like this. And they're like, I got to feed my family. Holidays are coming up. I got to keep and it's like, I have to work this OT or I won't live. And it's like, as a leader, I'm seeing this person knocking out sleep for 15 minutes on a break. They whole lunch break, they knocked out sleep because they working 2 jobs and they coming in doing OT. And it's like, it's tough. And it's like, I gave you guys this option to do OT. You taking advantage of it, but at what cost? And as a leader, you just have to make that call like, hey, just go home. Go home. Like you got to take care of yourself. You won't be a person, this family that you're trying to provide for, you won't be there for them if you keep working like this. And it takes a leader to step in and make those calls and lead people. So is Orga a bad leader? No, I don't think so. I think he's just making the necessary calls. And at the end of the day, if that's what that person want to do, you got to let them do
it. Okay. All of you against me? Go fuck yourself. I don't think I honestly don't think he's an overall bad leader, but I think that was a bad decision. I probably should say. Next question. So Tekken thought it was a smart decision to dig up the mobile armors, and they quickly found out it wasn't. What was a decision that you've made that seemed good at first but turned out to be bad? Ice.
I remember this shit like it was yesterday. It was sophomore year in high school. And I had an English teacher that was a fucking bitch, and I couldn't stand her. And I campaigned and petitioned to get her fired. Like every day of the week, I was in the principal's office. Just like, she's like racist. She's terrible. She treated me like shit, and other people that looked like me, the few of us in the class, like shit. We was like, she gotta go. She gotta go. She gotta go. And like, I campaigned for a good 3 to 4 months and then got everybody around it. The whole sophomore class was like, yeah, she got to go. And eventually she did. And the one thing that she said before she left, she was all like, the devil that you know is sometimes better than the devil that you don't. And at that time, I'm like, what the fuck? What does that even mean? Like, I don't even, we're talking about devils and shit. Bitch, get out of here. And sure enough, she was right. The person that they got to replace her was even worse. It was either worse. It had me calling like, hey, can you bring her back? Because this lady that we got is atrocious. And everybody was on my head about it. Like, damn, Mike, you just led this whole charge. You've been going there for 3 months. We get her out of here. And then this lady that come in is even worse. And I think that's what I learned. I learned a lot from that for sure.
René?
Mine's just a very simple, small story. I was shooting my very first show that I executive produced in Cambodia. And in Cambodia, in the places that we would eat, they would normally give you like these little tiny red peppers that just would sit on the corner of your plate for pretty much every meal. For some reason, these peppers were ungodly hot. So typically, most meals, nobody touched the peppers. Like pretty much nobody touched the peppers. Tony Valentino, my business partner, he ate them because he's a madman.
Of course he did.
Yeah, but most people just didn't eat them. And, one day, one of the camera operators was like just talking shit and feeling himself and whatever. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck you. I right now will play you rock, paper, scissors, 2 out of 3. Whoever loses has to eat both those peppers at the same time. I don't know why that felt like it was a good idea. It was the fastest game of rock, paper, scissors I've ever played in my life. It was like, bam, bam, eat 'em, Brennan. I was just like, oh. And I have that experience has forever changed my palate to be able to tolerate hot food. Before that, I didn't like hot food. I couldn't eat it. Now I can't taste things anymore. So I can eat whatever kind of hot food. I can eat, like, I can fuck with whoever wants it. Like, whoever wants to smoke with hot food, I probably can fuck with them.
You gonna do a hot ones challenge?
No, I wouldn't do the hot ones challenge because I've learned my lesson that there's no reason to challenge anything about heat because I miss my sense of taste a little bit. But you know, I put some hot shit on my stuff now because it's like, all right, well, let me feel something.
I was gonna say, you want to feel something?
Your tongue is fucking Mika now.
No emotion. Rob?
No, it's just a story about being dumb kids. I was on like at the end of like spring break in like junior high or whatever. My friend and I were just at Shopping Town Mall, RIP Shopping Town Mall, in Syracuse. It was just like it's like a small 2-level like shopping center, indoor, and we were just trying to kill the time because like we couldn't do anything, like we couldn't even drive. Like my mom dropped us off there, some shit. We were just hanging out, and we thought it would be a real fun idea because there's one elevator in this mall to go up and down, like just one level. We just thought it'd be fun to like, hey, we'll make up like little signs. We made up signs like advertise, like ride the elevator. And we put it up against the glass, like so people would see that shit. And we waited in there. We made another little sign that said leave a tip. And so when people would come in, we'd be like, which floor would you like to go to? And there's only like one option. If you're on floor 1, you're going to floor 2 and vice versa. So we did that. We put like a little sign that said like leave a tip as a joke. And we just like emptied our pockets out on the floor. We thought it was a fun joke and a way to kill time. And like most people came in and thought it was funny. Like they laughed a little bit, like kids just being kids. One guy came out of some movie and was just like, you can't charge people to ride the elevator. And I was like, we're not. That's, as you can see, this is a sign for tips. Those are not mandatory. You don't have to.
Smart ass, Rob.
And he was just like, all right, cool. I'm going to go talk to security. And we were like, okay, then have fun with that. And then he left the elevator. We went down one floor and we like kind of looked at each other and laughed. We're like, ha, 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 ha. That stupid old man. We got to the top floor. It opened back up and there was small security who was ready to take us out, took us to their security office. Boom, 3-month ban from the mall. So that was a pretty dumb decision. Mom had to come back to pick me up from mall security, the plastic badges, and that was a fun time.
The plastic badges.
Man, I feel like I have a few different stories, but I had a cheating story. I had, let's see. When we used to walk to school when we were a kid, we used to always throw oranges at people's windows and break their windows. Like we just thought it was fun and funny for us to do. And it was, of course, this is not going to end well. So one day we're throwing oranges and we bust this old lady's window. And this lady literally chased us to school. Like it was like seeing Jason. Like, you keep walking and you're faster than my run when they're walking. It was the craziest shit ever. She just kept walking. She wouldn't stop. We got to school finally. She didn't get us in school. But after school, somehow she found out all of our parents' names. I don't even know how she even got she didn't get close enough to us to see our face. But for some reason, I don't know if somebody snitched on us or one of the kids went back that we were with and said, I'm sorry, got a guilty conscience. I don't know what the fuck. But I got home and it was like, so you out here breaking people's windows with oranges? You out here throwing oranges? We're just like, what? Who are you talking about? It was like, yeah, this person came by, told us this is what happened. And I got the ass whooping of a lifetime. Mm. It was.
You still don't know to this day?
Still don't know to this day who told, how it happened, how it got back to this lady. It literally makes no sense. I can only think of karma. I can only think of karma as being like, I got something for your punk asses. Mm. We used to do that every single day walking to school. We used to do it pretty much every single day throwing oranges. So all right, this is we got let me see. We got it's hour 14. We got to wrap this up. But I did have a bonus question if y'all want to answer it real quick. It's Brennan's question. Naze went out like a G. Have you seen any other anime deaths that were better than that, Brennan?
Goku died like 30 times. Some of them are pretty dope. So that's my answer.
He died. He did die a lot.
Yeah, I would say off the top of my head, real quick, Vegeta. I like to have Vegeta sacrifice himself when he against Majin Buu. Yeah, even though he came back,
it was
fruitless.
But it was kind of dope at the moment. I was like, yeah, Vegeta. I was like, another L for the Prince of all L's. Ice.
Keeping in the vein of DBZ, the way Bardock went out, I thought was pretty dope.
Bardock went out pretty dope. Yeah, he did. Rob.
Yeah, I'll just keep it in the family. Piccolo sacrificing himself to protect Gohan. Was pretty dope in the Saiyan saga. You know,
Piccolo's your man.
Yeah, you fuck with
Yeah.
because he fuck with Gohan. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
He raised that child. And you know, he stepped up. That was Piccolo's full circle character moment where he went from like uncaring dude to like, I will put my life on the line for somebody else.
Not even of his race or nothing like that. That's
that the son of his sworn enemy, he sacrificed him. Great character death.
That's a great point. All right, so that's
like Piccolo was black. Side note, please continue.
I think a lot of us do, Brennan.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us side with that. So yeah, that's the end of the question portion, man. Let's get into our likes, dislikes, and our scores. Ice, go ahead and go first, brother.
Dislikes. I don't like it's going to be the same thing. Just all the dialogue and I think the formula that they were doing, I was really upset, and because it's like get you tied in, get you the action, and then 2 to 3 episodes of just dialogue. But then I was like, oh, here we go again. But then it leads us to my favorite part, which was the fighting. And then they got they because usually they just tell out and then just go dialogue. But then at the end, those last episode or two, they went back into fighting, and it was dope. And I think my favorite part specifically was the Mika fight with the mobile armor. And one thing that I really liked about that fight, and it made me pay attention more, just overall for the anime, is the sound design on this anime is fucking amazing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I was like, because it's easy to throw away sound design when you have mechs fighting, because it can just be clank, 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 clank. And if the action, what you're seeing is dope, you kind of be like, all right, but you felt everything. You felt Mika move. You felt Mika grab the sword. You felt when the armor put the cannon right in Mika's face and like blew him back. Like you felt that shing, shing, shing. Like just the sound design and the detail with the sound design was impeccable. And I think honestly, moving forward, I really want to pay more attention just overall to sound design in anime to see like where this one ranks. But I feel like just off of what I've seen, this is up there for sure. This is my favorite stretch of episodes. It's making and how Naze went out with his girl Amita. I think it was dope, and it made you feel it, even though they telegraphed it again. They made you feel it again, just like what happened with Ashton. Is like they telegraph it, but they still make you feel it. Like you knew one of them was gonna die. You knew somebody from the turbines was gonna die, but they made you feel it. Like, hey, it's coming. I'm gonna throw a left hook at you, and you still get caught with the left hook, and you still get knocked out. And like I said, my favorite stretch of episodes, 6,500 for this stretch.
My likes and dislikes. You know what? My likes and dislikes, I would say, is the same. In the sense of like it's the same moment. It's Naz's death. Naze and Amita's death. Like, man, I hated that. I hated seeing it. I was sad. But it was also such a dope ass moment to see her be a boss and be like, yo, first of all, call him out and be like, yo, I know you. I know what you was trying to do, but I'm here. I got your back, boo. I love you. And them having each other's back. So that moment it was like a bittersweet moment for me. It was dope watching that happen, but at the same time, I was kind of emotional. This show has made me probably the most emotional. I'm low key getting a little bit, a little watery eyed talking about this moment. But like I said last week, I 100% see what everybody was saying, how this show is emotional to people, how people cried. I can say I haven't cried yet, but I can 100% see it. I feel like they do a really good job, and this sucks to say, that when they're showing somebody die, that shit is sad, man.
Mm-hmm.
When they're showing one of these kids die, they're not just going like, ah, and they're out of there. It's like they're showing their eyes, their tears, like kind of like, I don't want this really. Mm-hmm. And that shit is powerful.
It's like they got a death budget. Like, we're
gonna do it on animation. We're gonna put all our money on this death budget real quick. So that right there, this show has been, like I said, an emotional fucking roller coaster for me. And I wasn't a fan of mechs. Like I wasn't a fan of Gundam style shows, but this show is doing a hell of a job bringing me in and makes me want to watch the other ones now. And I got to give my overall score is a 7,500.
It looked like he like on the cross or some shit.
Your arms down. 7,500. Rob.
I would say probably my least favorite thing is actually more something that didn't happen. I expected obviously there were consequences from the fight with the mobile armor and like political ramifications. I expected there to be a few more bodies dropped in that particular fight, and I was a little bummed out that like everybody other than Mika, obviously, everybody kind of came out the other side of that okay. I mean, obviously there's some political ramifications and that caused some situations to spin out, but I just, for as big as it was, I just expected there to be a higher cost to put it down. So that would probably be my least favorite thing. But just I'm going to piggyback off of Ice, because my favorite part was that fight with Mika and
it was fire
and the armor. It was dope. It was really cool. Like you said, the sound design was great. I don't need to rehash too much of what he said because it's all the reasons why it's great. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's for whatever reason, maybe it was because I watched it so early in the week. Like, I didn't feel like this stretch of episodes hit me as hard as maybe the last set. I obviously I did feel that there were some strong bookends, but I agree with Ice that like that middle section slowed it down quite a bit. No,
they're dead. Look at his eye in Brenna's, man. Look at his eye in Brenna's picture, dog. Come on.
Telegraph was so strong. Like as soon as they showed like the flashback, I turned to Andre. I was like, they aren't gonna make it.
Yep.
Like I knew it was coming, and so it did take a little bit of that away from me for a moment. Actually, I take it back. My least favorite part is when they flash forwarded to 1 month later because it totally, again, took the tension right out of that moment. I'm like, they're gonna be fine.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
In there. So yeah, overall still good. Still enjoy the show. I think it's going to actually take a small step down from where I was last week. I think I gave it a 7,500 last week. I'm going to say 72.
72. Brennan, you are on the clock with a hot 3 minutes. Go ahead and express yourself.
Oh, I don't need 3 minutes for this. I'll say his least favorite moment, obviously, the death of my fam. My number 2 favorite character in the show behind Orga.
Brennan I feel like Brennan has a connection with him because he's just like, yeah, I'm kind of like him, man. I be with the ladies, I be out here living my life, man.
I don't know about any of that. But
and I only accept what's given to me. I never go like
I have no comment on those notes. But I will say that my favorite part is overstood, obviously, the fight with the mobile armor, but even like more actually, the moment that for me that really hit was when Naz's girl like shot the cockpit of like when she shot that cockpit.
Yeah.
Her last action, her last breath was to shoot the cockpit. I was just like, yo, you cannot be more of that. You can't be more of a G in that moment. Like she was the star of that episode. No question.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? Like he was boss. Like there's no question. He was incredible. Like it was very sad to see him die, but her, like the way that she showed up in every way for him and for herself and for her pride and for her people. You know what I'm saying? Like she was everything. And to quote this brother right here, she was the sun. She was the sun, and she shone quite brightly. And I felt every piece of that shit. This show continues to reinvigorate the emotions that I had the first time I watched it. I've had dread for certain things. This is definitely one of those things. And I felt it all over again. I'll say that the impact of feeling it is lessened, I'm happy to say, by having known what was going to happen, as well as not watching it all straight through like I did when I watched it the first time. Like I watched this entire 2 seasons like a weekend. The first time I did it, like I
you
just
didn't give yourself a break.
No, this is all I did. Like it was a whole weekend. I just watched right through it and I felt everything because it's just like, the whole time. Oh shit. So overall, I really enjoyed it. As I said, I'm gonna go with the 7700. It's just good writing. And I also, last thing I want to point out as I talk to Rob is that I truly love that this show has consequences to it. So the gun that they brought out to shoot the mobile armor did not mention anything about it besides saying it was special armor or whatever. They brought it out. None of us thought anything of it. Naze is dead because of it. Naze is dead. He is dead because of that gun that they didn't even really mention. They were just like, oh yeah, gun, boom, shot some rocks. And that was it. And it came back with a vengeance. And it's just like, you got to pay attention to everything in the show because it all comes back.
Yeah. Shout out to Brennan for saying he didn't need the whole 3 minutes and use it all. So what do you guys?
I didn't need it. I wanted it.
No, that's a good pin and wrap up, man. And let us know what y'all think in the comment section of these stretch of episodes in season 2. You said it was 36 to 40?
Yep.
Yeah, 36 to 40.
Season 2 of Iron Blooded Orphans, man. Answer all the questions in the comment section. Let us know what y'all think. Whew. This is emotion, baby. This shit is an emotional roller coaster, bro. Go ahead, Ice, drop your stuff.
Ice dot McGowan on everything.
Rob.
RV Danger 44 on Twitter, RV Danger on Instagram.
Brennan.
At Brennan the Best.
At Keenan Baker on everything. Animeshun Podcast. SHUN Podcast on everything. And we thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Animeshun. We out.
And so anime was solved forever.